Good evening, and welcome to News Night Akron for Friday, November 27th, 2009. It's Thanksgiving week. I'm Jody Miller, and we're very glad that you're here with us. Because it's Thanksgiving, it's a wonderful time to reflect on some of the blessings and the benefits that we all have in our lives. And for me, one of the benefits of living in the Greater Akron area has to be the myriad of arts and cultural organizations that we have at our disposal. Whether it's theater or the orchestra, ballet companies, museums, individual artists, we are very, very blessed to have people and organizations that enhance our lives. Well, in the past several months, three of the icons of the cultural arts community in this area, the Akron Art Museum, the Greater Akron Musical Association, and Stan Hywet Hall and Gardens, have all welcomed new faces and new roles into their organizations. And we thought we would use the program tonight to introduce you to some of their roles and responsibilities in their new jobs. And then we also wanted to discuss a little bit about the general flavor and the general climate of arts and culture in our community. So we have a longtime arts advocate joining the panel discussion. I'd like you to welcome with me, if you will, Phil Walz, who is here as the Executive Director of the Greater Akron Musical Association. We also have Linda Conrad, who is just now in her second month of being in the Greater Akron area. Linda is President and Executive Director of Stan Hywet Hall and Gardens. And while not new to the Akron area, Jon Trainor is in fact new to his position at the Akron Art Museum, where he is now the Director of Development. And longtime arts advocate, arts maven in this community, founder of First Night and so many other things, Mary Ann Jackson joins us. So thank you all very much for being with us this evening. I'd like to maybe start the discussion with just general observations you may have about arts and culture in general and their value and importance in any community, not just the Akron community. Mary Ann?
Okay. Well, I think that it has long been heralded, especially in myriads of studies done in the 80s, the end of the 80s, about the importance of arts in a community. The vibrant, extra dose of stuff that arts organizations add to the fabric of a community. I think there are, so that's kind of a given, but I'd like to take that a little bit further and just mention that some of the things that are never really associated thoroughly with the vibrancy that an arts community and cultural community present to a community are two aspects. One is that there are a lot of ancillary jobs that happen because of a thriving arts community. When you think about the very nature of these organizations and the fact that they use caterers and they use transportation modes and they use beverage suppliers and the trash that is accumulated actually from the afterglow of many of their events is incredible, and these are real jobs to real people in the community that is enhanced when you have a vibrant arts. And the second one is the idea that we provide leadership to the community on an overall basis. Leadership Akron and the Junior League of Akron and the Torchbearers all are in phenomenal training positions. But after the training, then what happens? Then we, in the not-for-profit world, take these folks and put them on boards and make them really big.
Part of the community.
Part of the community, part of our volunteer corps, and that's what makes the community thrive.
So literally, I'm preaching here to the choir, am I not, about the value of arts and culture in a community?
Absolutely. I was at Akron Roundtable the other day and heard Joseph Gingo, who's the president, chairman, chief executive of A. Schulman, talk about how he envisions the quality of life for his employees, both here and internationally. And one of the things that struck me about his comments was that he says that we need great education and we need great culture. And the reason is we need to provide not just a vibrant community for those people coming here, but we want to provide a higher grade community to attract employees here that have options to go anywhere in the world. And so the cultural component is an important part for a major CEO in this community in terms of attracting employees. So it's not just a quality of life issue. It's also a quality of business life issue as well. And I think that, I think
it's essential for a healthy community?
Absolutely. I think it absolutely is. Yep.
Well, I know that your three institutions are, as I said in the opening, they're icons in this community. So I would like to give each of you, the three of you, an opportunity to tell us. Let's pretend our viewers know nothing about the organizations with which you are. John, do you want to start first? Tell us about the Akron Art Museum, please.
6 weeks into the job, and I'm supposed to describe the Akron Art Museum. The staff who have been there many, many years will be interested to note that I did take some notes during my time in orientation. The Akron Art Museum started in 1923. It started as an art institute, and its first works were donated by one of our stalwart leaders in the industrial world, Edwin Shaw, who believed the same thing that we just heard about from the roundtable, that art was important to the community. It was a great diversion for people. They could learn some history about it and have some character building at the same time. It's an interesting place. It's dynamic. It's not just art hanging on a wall in a gallery. There's activities going every day. There's school children in the museum every school day. There are after-hours programs. There are musical institutions who come to participate in the museum. The Tuesday Musical Group now has got a program going on. In fact, recently was awarded an award for collaboration with the Tuesday Musical and the Akron Art Museum for its works.
And your new building, obviously.
And the brand new building is a world-renowned architectural piece of art and has been written up. I scanned some of the news releases, and virtually every country in the world covered the new art museum and its design and its decor. And by the way, it does function extremely well. You wouldn't think that from looking outside, but everything has purpose and it all works.
Thank you. Linda, you are the newest member of our arts community. You have just come in from North Carolina.
That's correct.
Describe for us your first impressions of the role that Stan Hywet has in our community, please.
Oh my gosh, it's just a beautiful 65-room Tudor mansion and country estate that's been here a long time. I'm obviously built in 1815 and been the founder of Goodyear's Home, Frank and Gertrude Seiberling. And so it's played a major part. It's been a source of beauty and enjoyment for families in Akron for all this time, and certainly will continue to do that. And of course, we have beautiful events, but the Manor Home is open Tuesday through Sundays through the season of April and through December. And of course, this week we just opened our Deck the Halls celebration, and I must say I have been so delighted and surprised how beautiful it is. And it's not just the Manor Home, but the grounds come to life at night with 250,000 lights. So it's an amazing place to start your holiday tradition here, and I would just recommend everyone taking part as much as you can. And then as we go forward, we're going to be developing additional things for families and how people can engage and enjoy Stan Hywet in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Phil, you are Executive Director of the Greater Akron Musical Association. But describe that association, because
Sure.
Our viewers may not be as familiar with that as they are with, let's say, the orchestra.
Sure. Well, the Greater Akron Musical Association mission is to enhance the quality of life in our community through education and musical excellence. Now, some of the programs that people might have heard about, of course, is the Akron Symphony, under the direction of Christopher Wilkins, our music director, which does a series of concerts at E.J. Thomas and elsewhere. We also, of course, have our Akron Symphony Chorus, under the direction of Hugh Floyd, which is about a 130-member chorus. We have our Gospel Meets Symphony Chorus, under the direction this year of Jennifer Jones, and of course Gospel Meets Symphony Let Freedom Ring is a program that Western Reserve is rolling out nationally over the next few months, which is kind of exciting. We also have our Akron Youth Symphony under the direction of Associate Conductor Christopher James Lees. We have the Akron Youth Philharmonic that we collaborate with the Akron School District on. We do the Pops concerts in the summer sponsored by the City of Akron, and many, many other educational outreach programs, concerts for kids in the spring, and many other kinds of things. I think the thing that The Gamma family is a family that includes professional musicians and numbers of hundreds of professional musicians, volunteer singers, volunteer musicians, teachers, audience members, board members, volunteers, parents, and of course subscribers and ticket holders and donors and corporate donors. It's a multiple thousand member family, and it's been around for about 58 years, and we'll celebrate our 60th in 2 years. And I'm honored to be at the table with Mary Ann Jackson because she kind of wrote the book on our 50th anniversary when we did it about 8 years ago. So it's a very rich and deep family, and it's an honor to be here.
Very vibrant part of the community, as all of the organizations are. Because the three of you are new, essentially, in your jobs, I would like our viewers to get to know you each a little bit better. And Marianne, I'll finish up with you because I'm curious why you are so involved in the arts and the culture community. But Phil, give us a thumbnail sketch, if you would, please, about you and your background and what you think your role is going to be with Gamma.
Well, I'm a farm kid from rural New Hampshire. I got a degree in piano and music. At one time, I thought I'd be a concert pianist. I ended up going to school, getting the degree, and then got right into orchestras right out of college, and then moved into other projects. I worked on building a concert hall. I ran a very big festival in central Pennsylvania at Penn State, a school no one's ever heard of, and I did that for many years. I worked for an environmental concern up in the coast of Maine called Island Institute, and then came back to the orchestra world after 23 years doing other things here a few months ago. I think what I bring to the table for the Greater Akron Musical Association is a knowledge of how orchestras have succeeded, and my goal is to make the garden greener, to make the organization stronger, to utilize the existing bones of an organization that is really very vibrant, well-led, well-directed on the artistic front and on the board front, and working with all these various constituencies, make the program better, stronger, sell out the halls, get sponsored all of our core professional musicians, and really do some music that makes people's spirits soar. I guess if I had a wish, it would be that the Akron Symphony and all of our various entities would be seen as one of the key sounds of the city of Akron.
Thank you. Linda, you come to us as an executive with a background with, I think, Coca-Cola and Disney
World.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How will that background and that experience help you guide Stan Hywet?
Oh, gosh. Lots of ways. In both are huge brands with great stories and very careful to protect those stories, and so is Stan Hywet. You know, Stan Hywet is a wonderful tradition that has an authentic past, and so the innovation that it takes to run brands and to create wonderful experiences, Walt Disney World and certainly the attraction and retail division at Coca-Cola translates very well. So creating what those experiences look like for the future, making sure they're appropriate to Stan Hywet, and creating the future together focused on being a great resource for the community, but then also, too, making sure we grow to even be nationally recognized. It's an amazing property and has so many opportunities.
Absolutely. John, you are familiar to our community because of all the years that you spent with the Akron General Foundation. How does your background help the museum at this point when you've come in as the Director of Development?
Well, I think I bring a knowledge of the community itself, the individuals who are interested in supporting the betterment of the community. I know many of those individuals. Being on the foundation at Akron General, I really had half the community that I could deal with, and my friends across town now know that I'm fair game for them to sit down and talk with. The Art Museum is a very large institution now. It was a smaller place. It's now tripled its size, has a lot more opportunities for exhibitions to be coming into the community. The Norman Rockwell exhibit that was here last year was a huge undertaking for the museum. One that
required, a very successful one.
Very successful, but it required a stretch on the part of the museum to secure that exhibition, not knowing what the attendance would be and the potential payment for that exhibition. I've learned a lot about how art gets here. Some of it I've been told is top secret because they're very expensive pieces that are coming to town, and they don't really want people to know when they're coming or how they're getting here. But they have to be insured. They have to be transported in correct humidity and temperature. They have to be inspected. They may have to be framed for the exhibition, and then hang on the wall or become part of our collection as well. The Art Museum now has over 4,000 pieces that it owns. You obviously can't see all of them at any one time, so there's a natural rotation for those pieces. They have to rest, I've learned, after being on display for a period of time. You're not allowed to touch them because oils in your hands will degrade the colors or cause some cracking in the paint. And so there's a whole set of rules and regulations that you have to learn to get to know the art. But bringing in world-class exhibitions that spark people's interests in art, things that you may have remembered from your art appreciation class in college. I've remarked that I slept through half of mine. And so they're being reminded as we go along that you should have been able to see this piece. And we have a program coming up, hopefully in 2012, that will be Impressionists landscapes. And I've been told that there are several well-known artists like Monet who will be in that exhibition. Great. So, again, that will bring a wider audience into the museum and always accommodate our changing environment of our permanent collection.
Marianne, thumbnail sketch, because we do want to get the discussion going in terms of some of the issues that are facing the arts community. How did you get so involved in arts and culture?
Well, I was a music major at this place, Penn State University, Nittany Lion, and I started out as a high school vocal music teacher. That was in the eastern portion of Pennsylvania, and then when my husband decided we were going to come to Akron and he would be part of Akron General's radiology staff, he said we would be here for 2 years, and he lied, and that was 35 years ago. So one of the first things I did was, of course, to go back to my niche, the arts, and the symphony was the first volunteer job that I did. That turned into a paid position, and then I went over to Ohio Ballet and became their development person for 4 years. I worked for David Brennan for 8.5 years. That was a little bit of everything. And then went on to be Akron's, first and into the millennium director of First Night.
First Night,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, all of you obviously have an extraordinary background that you bring to this table. And one of the issues that we do want to address is these are tough economic times for everybody. And arts institutions are not immune from a slumping economy. So I'm curious to know what, in fact, what are the effects of a bad economy on arts institutions and museums? And what can you do to stimulate audiences or patrons during a rough time? Phil?
Well, I'll jump in. It's funny, when I got into orchestra work out of college in 1980, the recession was actually worse by some accounts than it is today. And I bought a car with 23% interest, and I went to work for orchestras that were in crisis. I mean, they were either coming out of bankruptcy or going into bankruptcy. The arts, for the most part, in my career, have always been in some form of difficulty. When the economy's bad, it's not good. When the economy is improving, okay. So I think the key thing for any organization, it's if you can forget the nonprofit for a minute and just focus on what you're about. Focus on your mission. Come up with a plan in terms of how you're going to deliver to your mission and deliver to your audience, your customer. Make the case, go out there and work it, and have some backup plans, B, C, if it doesn't work. And either you make it or you don't. For the most part, I think organizations sometimes spend too much time worrying about the economy or the closing of this or the opening of that or how it might affect us, and need to spend more time focusing on their core audience, value, quality, and fun. In the business that I've worked in, fun is the number one reason that people go to our events. Number one.
Lynn, you were nodding your head in agreement?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a time to kind of think through all of the components, both from efficiency and productivity and from mainly creativity, and innovate and find out what's relevant to your audience and to your all your stakeholders, and change your plans. Change your plans for the changing economy and move forward.
Marion, you had mentioned something to me before we went on air, and that was how important arts and culture can be to the patrons during a slumping economy. In what respect?
Absolutely. I'll use the Civic Theater as an example. Back in the day, when all of our rubber companies were going at full tilt, and the workers were from West Virginia and Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, leaving their families behind and coming here, their escape was, the way they got through their work-a-day, week-a-day lives was to go to the movies. And it was theaters like the Civic that took you away a little bit from the day-to-day grind and going to the flop house to some sort of other time and place.
So it's a way to kind of take you away from the bad ways and bring some joy into your life?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
John?
I certainly agree with that. The museum itself is a beautiful place to come visit, just to walk around, and I've noticed the number of people just walking around looking at the architecture and taking notes, and there's some students from Kent State and Akron U who come to understand how it's being built, so it's an attraction in and of itself. The changing of exhibitions on a regular basis gives new life to the programs, and if you've not been to the museum in the last 6 months, then you've not been to the museum, because it has changed almost everything that's there. And it's doing that on a regular basis in order to attract new and younger audiences as well. We're getting into the video art world because we've got an age group that grew up with video, and that's what they understand. My son won't even stop to watch a black and white movie because that's got to be an old opportunity. But we're now going to have some new technology to come into the museum to be able to show this video art that's very high-tech, and it's very engaging, and give you an immersion into that piece that's being displayed.
And attract the newer audiences that you have.
Exactly. There's a program coming up this summer. It's going to be appropriate. It's called True North, and it's Admiral Perry's exhibition to the North Pole.
The North Pole.
And so you're going to feel like you're walking on the snow.
Oh, wonderful.
Only in June, July, and August when it's sweltering here.
We unfortunately are at the point where we're kind of running out of time, so I want each of you to take maybe 30 seconds here and tell our viewers, what do you think is ahead in the future for arts in the Akron area and for your particular organization? Marianne? Arts in the area.
Arts in the area. I think those organizations that are going to be successful going forward are the ones that turn from just an arts orientation to a business orientation, to recognize fully that the not-for-profit world is a business, a big business, and to treat it as such. Secondarily, I think that people are going to, those organizations are going to be successful who find that wonderful niche to bring families to their doorstep. With the two-income families and less time for just taking an evening out for mom and dad, it's critical that people are involved as families.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John, how about you? What do you think lies ahead? I mean, you told us about the snow in June and July for the Art Museum, but what do you think? What else, if you had a wish, what would you wish for in terms of the Art Museum and its future?
Well, our goal is to build the endowment so that we can, in fact, keep bringing these wonderful exhibitions to the community, to expose individuals to other cultures around the world, to join with other organizations in order to magnify our ability to attract art and artists to the community. The chairman of the National Endowment of the Arts recently coined a two-word phrase: art works. And the museum is going to adopt that in some of its approaches, because that's what we do, is the art. It's a sentence because it describes what we do, but as was mentioned by Mary Ann, there are 5.7 million jobs directly related to the arts in this country. And it's an economic item that has to be recognized and grow.
Linda?
Well, I think the future vision for us is that Stan Hywet really becomes a source of enjoyment and frequent enjoyment by our community and even the country at large. And come out for relevant, exciting, and fun programming that is just part of your daily life. It's not just a museum, it's a living museum. And it's a beautiful location to just make part of your life.
Thank you. Phil?
To make your spirit soar. Our job is to provide wonderful experiences that people come out of the hall singing, and we're planning for more of that. Our audiences are up 15% in terms of subscribers. We're very bullish on the future.
Well, thank you all so much for being part of this. Arts is alive, obviously, in the Greater Akron area, and thank you for being with us to share your perspective on it.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, viewers. Good night.